We know NoCo. From Town Square Media, this is Tuned Into NoCo. I'm Ashlee Meehleis. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Tuned Into NoCo. Today we have the Poudre River Public Library's communication manager here with us, Katie Auman. Katie, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome. Before we get into what's going on this February, can you tell us about Poudre River Public Library District? How many locations do you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have 3 library locations located throughout Fort Collins, but we actually serve a district area that's about 1,800 square miles. So we go all the way up to the Wyoming border. But our 3 locations are the Old Town location, which is downtown Fort Collins, Council Tree Library, which is in the Front Range Shopping Village, and Harmony Library, which is a joint use facility on the Front Range campus.
Now, I'm curious, where do you guys source your books?
You know, we actually work with publishers around the country, predominantly the big 5, but also some of the smaller publishing houses. And we also work directly with digital content providers. So places like Overdrive and Libby or Hoopla or Canopy, where we're able to actually source their digital content and make it available to library card holders to download or to stream.
That's amazing. Now, let's talk about February. So the entire month of February, you guys are doing something pretty cool. You're holding a book fest. Can you tell our listeners about this?
Absolutely. So this is actually our 7th book festival.
Wow.
And this year we've kind of changed things up and we've moved it to February. In the past, it's always been an October event, but we found that February, not only is it Library Lovers Month, but it's also I Love to Read Month. So it seemed like a perfect tie-in to a free community book festival.
Yeah.
And so we decided to spread it out over the course of the entire month so that people, you know, who work during the day or who have other scheduling conflicts would still be able to attend as many sessions as they might be able to do instead of trying to really kind of pack it into a weekend.
Right. And speaking of these sessions, you guys are going to have 30 local and regional authors that will be featured. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we have decided to really spotlight local and regional Colorado authors. And so with the exception of just a few of the authors that are coming in, like John Tipton, most of them are from this Northern Colorado region, which is really exciting because we have a huge number of amazing writers and creatives here. And so this is an opportunity for us to support them and to get our community excited about some of these emerging voices.
Definitely. And this festival will be taking place at venues all around Fort Collins. When is the first one?
So the very first one is actually February 1st, and it's a writing workshop. That one is specifically targeted to veterans and their families and affiliates. And it's a writing workshop designed to help them sort of tell their story and express themselves. That will be followed a little bit later with an opportunity for those same participants to then read publicly their works in progress and share what they're currently working on. It's one of about maybe 6 or 7 different writing workshops that we have throughout the month.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, where will that be happening?
So that one's actually at Old Town Library. It starts at 5:30. We're using Old Town, Council Tree, and Harmony Libraries, plus our friends over at Old Firehouse Books and Wolverine Public House are hosting some sessions. And then we have some amazing partners, some local breweries who are going to be holding readings, panel discussions, and also some really kind of fun social activities like Get Lit trivia and book bingo and things like that.
Oh, that sounds super fun. Now, I'm sure it takes a lot of muscle to put these sessions on. For those who are listening, if they want to get more involved, do you guys have volunteer opportunities?
You know, we're actually pretty well set this year, which is great. Usually we are asking for volunteers. Really, the best way to support us is to come out and enjoy the festival. get to know the authors. We're going to have some book sales and signings. So that's a great way to actually, financially support these great artists. And, as we kind of move forward into planning for the next year, we're always looking for community members who would like to participate or also be on our committee to kind of plan and organize the event.
Great. And if they want to get more information about that, should they just head to your website?
Absolutely. So they can go to www.focobookfest.org, and all of the information and contacts and things like that are there.
Perfect. Well, you guys, you heard that. Poudre River Public Library is hosting a book fest the entire month of February. There's going to be more than 30 local and regional authors that will be featured. The first one is happening February 1st at 5:30 at the Old Town Public Library. It's going to be a writing workshop. Should be a blast. To get more information, you can head to focobookfest.org. Now, Katie, there's going to be a lot of activities. You mentioned the first one is a writing workshop. You guys also have what's called a human library. What is this?
We do. So we're partnering with the City of Fort Collins and the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery to host a human library. And essentially, it's really an amazing concept that has spread internationally. And the idea is that rather than checking out a physical book, you're checking out a human book and learning their story through one-on-one conversation. So it's sort of the spirit of storytelling, but you get really that personal interaction with somebody in the community that perhaps you've never would have the opportunity to interact with on a daily basis, and really get to hear their perspective and their experience living here in Fort Collins.
Oh, cool.
And it's really very cool because there's a lot of diverse voices and experiences and stories that are just so unique that it's neat to see that there's so many people here in Fort Collins kind of contributing to the culture and experience here.
Absolutely. And where do these people come from? Do they just sign up? How does that work?
They do, yeah. So our partners did a lot of outreach to various neighborhoods and communities, just asking for volunteers who would be interested in serving as a book. So they're putting those together right now. So what we're looking for is people who want to be the readers, which are the ones who sign up to sort of check out a human book.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. That's a really great idea.
Yeah, it came, I believe it originated out of Denmark with the goal of getting people to engage in conversation and cross boundaries and neighborhoods and communities that you would never typically or maybe not have the opportunity to interact with.
That's super cool. Now, kind of going back just a little bit here, what's involved in the writing workshops?
So the writing workshops are designed for all levels of writers. Essentially, we are partnering with Writing Heights, which used to be Northern Colorado Writers, to put many of these on. So there'll be an instructor who is a published author leading sort of just a workshop, a hands-on workshop around particular topics or genres or types of writing, to really just give people opportunities to improve and expand their repertoire. So you don't have to be, an experienced advanced writer to join them. We encourage everybody. I think there's something for everybody to get out of a writing workshop. And they happen to be some of our most popular sessions. So get there early.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a lot of fun. And yeah, guys, get there early. Katie, is there an age restriction at all for these sessions or any of the activities?
There isn't. We do have on our website indications of recommended audiences. So we do have quite a few teen-specific sessions that, really dive into things that they're interested in. Same with kids and families. Some really great kind of creative workshops for kids on how to be a writer with Tara Darren, who is a published children's author, how to be an illustrator. There's some great things like a teen comics workshop
cool.
With local graphic artist Will Betke, Brunswick. So some great stuff for kind of all ages.
Yeah, something for everyone. That's great. Do people have to RSVP?
They don't unless there is a registration required. There's a few things, particularly the children and family ones, because those can get pretty packed and we might not have enough room to accommodate everybody. So if you go out to the BookFest website and you look through the schedule, there'll be an indication if registration is required, and there's a link that will take you directly to that. Otherwise, we just encourage people to show up for as many things as that they're interested in doing.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that you've done this book fest in the past. Why do you think it's so important for our community for this to continue?
Well, I think there's something special about celebrating books and reading. There's a sense, I think, for many people that reading is sort of an isolated experience. You sit there very quietly, but there's really quite a celebratory element to meeting your authors, talking about, the books that they've written, coming together socially with other people who love books and literature and writing. And it's community building. There's something about whether you're a horror writing fan or you like fantasy or you like romance, which of course we did because it's February. Whatever might be your interest, there's a community there for you. And, coming out of the pandemic over the past years where we've all sort of been separated, This is really another opportunity to come together and socialize and connect around things that are really positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Also, you can be there in person, like you mentioned, with our community members. This is kind of a side question, but I am super curious, what your opinion is on this. Do you think public libraries will eventually just be online with all of the virtual books? I hope not, but
not at all. There's still really great demand for printed materials. So in terms of books and things like that, I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon, even though we do see lots and lots of people embracing digital content and e-readers, which they can get from us, or audiobooks that they can download from us. Cool. But equally important, libraries put on programs and events that are free to the community. Everything from story times for small children to lecture series, events like this. And we are just a space for people in the community where you can go and you can work, or you can get on a public computer, or you can print, or whatever it is you might need to do.
Yeah.
That's free and open for everybody.
Absolutely.
You don't have to buy anything to be there. You're very welcome to come in and sit around and do what you need to do that day.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible. And for me personally, there's just something about holding a physical book.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Absolutely. For our listeners who may not know, can you kind of explain the background of public libraries in general? How are they funded? What you think their main purpose is? So because we're a library district, we are not part of the city or county, which is what many public libraries are. They are a city department or a county department. We function very similarly to Poudre School District. So we are funded through a 3 mil tax levy, which is a property tax. And so that provides us with really stable funding to be able to serve our community, which we see every year continues to grow and expand, and as more people move into the area. We also are fortunate because we have our Friends of the Library group and also our library trust, who do fundraising on our behalf to ensure that we can continue to provide programming and pay for capital projects like a new roof at Old Town, which we just did, or someday if we are able to get a new library location or something like that. Those groups are really helpful for us in terms of doing
those above and beyond expenses.
Yeah, the library in Old Town Fort Collins has gotten quite the facelift over the past few years.
It's great. If you haven't been in there, it's been transformed and it's beautiful, and they continue to tweak things to make it easy for people to find what they're looking for, but it's really just a comfortable, welcoming place for people.
Yeah, and you guys, that is where the first event for BookFest is happening at the Old Town Public Library on February 1st. They're doing a writing workshop. It's going to be at 5:30 p.m. You can head to focobookfest.org to get more information. Now, you guys, you mentioned that this is your 7th year doing this BookFest. How did last year go?
So we took last year off, particularly to reevaluate and re-envision what we wanted the future of our BookFest to be. And so we used last year as a time to really dig into customer attendee feedback to see what is it that our community was really excited about related to the BookFest, and what could we do to continue to provide that and expand it. And so it was interesting because we took that year off, and that was when we really started to refocus on these smaller, more intimate sessions where you really get up close and personal with authors, as opposed to trying to do enormous, sized sessions. Yeah. And that really was one of the many things we kept hearing over and over from the community. Those were their favorites. They loved the writing workshops. They loved the one-on-one author readings. So we decided to do more, wanted to spread it out over time so that more people could attend.
That's amazing.
And it's worked out great. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're using feedback from the community to keep evolving things to what they want. That's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. We put out a survey at the end of the event, so anybody who attends is welcome to take it. And then we use that to start planning for the next one.
That's so great. Speaking of these book festivals, is there a story, I don't know, of something that's happened in the past where you've seen it really impact somebody's life?
We have. What's really interesting is that our very first book festival was in 2016. And it was, as any sort of new event, it was a little bit smaller. We probably had a total of maybe 400, 500 people who attended. But one of the women who attended a writing workshop told us about a year later that she got her book published.
No way.
And so, something like that, you don't always get to hear those really great stories. She obviously was very talented to begin with, but the idea that maybe she got some extra writing tips from, one of our writing workshops is really exciting.
Absolutely.
Or when you see a little kid who is meeting the author of one of their favorite books, that's always amazing.
Oh yeah.
To just see them like, they put they finally understand, like, there's a person who created this book for you, and there's an illustrator, and they kind of get those big eyes and get really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Way cool. Now, what's your favorite part of the Book Fest? What do you enjoy the most?
I think it's the author talks and panel discussions. I try to attend a variety of different topics, even if it's not a genre that perhaps I personally read a lot in. We sort of joke around, like, go to a wild card that you might not normally think is your cup of tea. And sometimes those are the most interesting. And I'll tell you, in 2021, when we last did this, I attended a virtual session that was a romance novels. And I personally don't read romance. It was one of my favorite panel discussions.
That's so cool.
These writers were amazing. They were funny. I was like, now I've got to read them. And I did. I started taking a look at what their books were. And it's not something I ever would have probably picked up initially, but there was something about that panel and the way they talked about their craft and their characters and things like that was really quite fun.
Absolutely. That's really cool. Now, For this year's Book Fest, is there any author that you'd want to highlight in particular that you guys are really excited about?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of authors who have recently been spotlighted in a variety of different magazines or online blogs and things like that for their work. And so we're really excited about Erica Worth. She is debuting her a new horror novel. She is not typically a writer in that genre. And her book, White Horse, is getting amazing buzz from all over, not just Colorado, but all over, the internet and things like that. So she actually is coming up on the 3rd, and we'll be reading and discussing her book right after our big kickoff party.
Oh, awesome.
Another person that I'm excited about is John Tipton. He's coming in from Chicago. He's an amazing poet. And I think people who, even if they're new to poetry, are going to really enjoy his work and the way that he just talks about language and ideas and things like that.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. You guys have a great lineup. Plus you have activities for teens, kids, anyone, something for everyone. That's great. Now let's kind of switch gears here. Mm-hmm. Katie, what is your story? How did you get involved with the Poudre River Public Library?
So I have the good fortune of, I tell people that my job is to brag about the library. I do the communications and marketing along with a small team here at the libraries. And, my background was in public relations and marketing. And I did a stint for a while as a public education teacher here in Fort Collins, and finally found my way back to the library. So it kind of combines the best of both worlds, teaching, and, I was an English teacher. So teaching and being able to promote books and programs and just the wonderful variety of services that the library has for people.
Yeah. So this is a very broad question, but with all of your experience, why do you think reading is so important in general for our community?
That's a big question. I would say there's a lot of reasons. Information literacy these days is critical. Being able to read and identify appropriate, reliable news sources is super important. Equally important is stories. Just being able to read and understand diverse perspectives.
Absolutely.
The more we read, the wider breadth of knowledge we gain, and learning about other people and cultures and times and places can really affect how we live today and how we interact with each other, how we treat each other. And so I think reading is vital to social communication and strong communities. There's also studies that say people who read live longer. So I'm going to go with that.
Absolutely. No, definitely. There's actually one of my favorite movies called Walk the Line. There's a line in that movie where I think Johnny Cash's brother is like, if you can't tell anyone the right story, you can't help anyone. And I love that line. So yeah, bringing that back to what you were saying, it's so important that people get out, read, get to know people, and with your guys' human library option, that's pretty cool. If you're not really into reading, you can talk to someone and learn about their story.
Somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. It's all about the story.
Yeah. Well, again, Katie, thank you so much for being here. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like your listeners to know about what you guys do or the Book Fest?
I think I would just leave people by encouraging them, if they haven't come into a library recently or they're not sure if, what does the library have? It's really changed over the years. It's evolved to be a true community hub for people. So I would just encourage people to stop by, grab a library card, see just how much is available for them. It's a really great resource, and I hope the community takes advantage of it.
Absolutely. Definitely. You guys heard that. Poudre River Public Library, they are going to be hosting a book fest the entire month of February. There's going to be more than 30 local and regional authors featured. It's going to be a great time. The first one is happening February 1st. It's going to be a writing workshop. That will be at 5:30 p.m. at the Old Town Public Library in Fort Collins. To get more information about the events during this festival, how you can get involved, you can visit focobookfest.org. Again, that's focobookfest.org. Katie, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to What Matters in NoCo. I'm Ashlee Meehleis with Townsquare Media's Tuned Into NoCo. If you missed part of the show, you can find it on your Townsquare Media station app or website. If you or your organization would like to be considered for Tuned Into NoCo, send me an email at ashlee.meehleis@townsquaremedia.com. That's ASHLEE.MEEHLEIS@townsquaremedia.com.